The gates of Willow Creek Estates swung open like they were welcoming royalty. But everyone knew the real ruler was already inside. Barbara Thompson, president of the HOA, pearl necklace gleaming like a crown, clipboard in hand, stood at the entrance the day I moved in. She smiled that practice smile, the one that said, "Welcome," while her eyes measured every inch of my moving truck for violations. "Haven Anderson," she purred, checking her list. "We're so thrilled to have you. Just remember, the covenants are our family rules. We all pull together here." I nodded, hauling my own boxes because the movers had bailed early. My little two-story was nothing fancy, gray siding. Solar panels I'd installed myself before closing, but it was paid for. No co-signers, no hand-me-downs. Just me, my laptop, and the quiet life I'd carved after years of coding in coffee-stain apartments. The neighborhood looked postcard perfect, manicured lawns at exactly 2 inches, white picket fences aligned like soldiers, American flags only on approved poles. But beneath the calm, the rules were a minefield. No political signs, no visible trash cans, no bird feeders unless they matched the approved palette. And Barbara, everyone called her Karen behind her back, patrolled like a hawk in her golf cart. No pad ready to strike. First week, the welcome packet arrived. 20 pages of fines. Grass too long? $50. Mailbox not regulation? 100. I laughed it off until the first ticket slid under my door. $500 for aesthetic incompatibility because my solar panels caught the afternoon light too harshly. Barbara's note was attached in her looping script. "We strive for harmony. Dear, consider alternatives." I paid it. Quietly. I was the new girl. No point rocking the boat yet. Across the street lived Celeste Thompson, Barbara's daughter. The neighborhood's golden child. 28. Always in yoga pants that somehow never wrinkled. Her backyard already under special consideration for a Parisian-inspired pergola. Every block party, Celeste was the star. Barbara would announce her latest achievement like it was national news. Celeste just secured that influencer sponsorship. Such vision. Neighbors clapped. I stood at the edge, sipping lukewarm lemonade, watching the circle close around them. My own contributions, quiet donations to the community fund, fixing Mrs. Patel's Wi-Fi for free went unmentioned. Useful, but never celebrated. Just like the old days. The monthly board meeting was held in the clubhouse. A sterile room smelling of lemon polish and unspoken threats. Barbara presided like a queen, gavel tapping in rhythm with her pearls. "We must protect our property values," she lectured, eyes scanning the room. When old Mr. Reynolds complained about the new speed bumps, she cut him off with a honeyed, "Bless your heart. But the covenants are clear." Everyone nodded. No one argued. That was the first time I truly felt the invisible leash. My solar ticket escalated. Another $300 for non-compliant wiring visible from a street. I showed up at the next meeting with receipts proving the install was code legal. Barbara tilted her head, smile never slipping. "Rules are rules. Haven, we can't make exceptions. It wouldn't be fair." Fair. The word tasted like rust. Across the table, Celeste sat scrolling her phone. Her own backyard project already approved for aesthetic enhancement. No tickets for a fairy light strung like Paris boulevards. I kept my mouth shut, documented every word in a private folder on my laptop. Photos of Barbara's own lawn, slightly over the 2-inch limit after rain. Celeste's overflow parking that blocked the fire lane. Small things. But small things stack like compound interest. By month 3, the pattern was clear. Rules for thee, exceptions for me. Barbara's newsletter praised Celeste's community spirit while listing my name under ongoing compliance issues. Neighbors started avoiding my driveway like it was contagious. "She's the one fighting the HOA," they whispered at the mailboxes. Trouble. I smiled politely at the grocery store when Barbara's cart blocked mine. Lovely day, isn't it? She chirped. I nodded. Inside, I was already coding. A simple script at first, time-stamped photos, GPS-tagged violations, automatic reports. Nothing flashy. Just data. Because data doesn't argue. It accumulates. The summer barbecue was the first real crack. Celeste's birthday setup dominated the park. String lights. Eiffel Tower cutouts. A champagne fountain that somehow didn't violate the no alcohol in common areas rule. Barbara beamed from the podium. Our Celeste is turning 29, and we're so proud. Her vision for the neighborhood is simply inspiring. Applause. I stood in the back, paper plate wilting in the heat, watching my $500 solar ticket still unpaid in spirit because the appeal had been tabled indefinitely. That night, alone on my porch, I opened the laptop again. The folder now had 30 entries. Barbara's golf cart parked on the grass. Celeste's drone flights over private yards. I named the script HOA Guardian. Little did I know it would become my ticket out of their shadow. Life settled into a rhythm of quiet defiance. I worked remote for a logistics firm, optimizing routes by day, building my app by night. The fines kept coming. $150 for my visible recycling bins, $200 for leaving the garage door open 10 minutes too long. Each one stamped with Barbara's signature. Each one paid on time because fighting in public was their game, not mine. I learned the board's language: harmonious living, collective benefit, shared sacrifice. Translation: do what we say, pay what we demand, smile while we favor our own. Celeste's pergola project broke ground in September. The permits flew through in record time. Special circumstance, Barbara announced at the next meeting, voice dripping sincerity. Our Celeste design will elevate the entire street. We're allocating resources to make it happen. Resources, code for HOA reserve funds. No one questioned the math. I sat in the back row, pen still, watching the room nod along. My own appeal for the solar fine had been denied that same evening. 3 minutes of discussion. Barbara's gavel like a judge's hammer. You'll understand eventually. Haven, she said afterward in the parking lot, patting my shoulder like I was a slow child. We invest where it shows returns. Celeste brings such positivity. I smiled a small, sharp smile I perfected. I'm sure she does. Inside, the folder grew to 50 entries. I added a new module to the app, community mapping. Neighbors could upload anonymously. Data started trickling in from others who'd been quietly crushed. Mrs. Patel's $400 flag violation. The single dad 2 streets overfined for his kid's basketball hoop. Patterns emerged like code lines locking into place. Winter brought the first real storm. Power lines down. Roofs leaking. My solar panels actually proving their worth by keeping my fridge running. The community fund was supposed to help with emergency repairs. I submitted the request. $2,000 for a temporary tarp and structural check. Reasonable. Documented. I even attached photos of the damage. At the emergency board meeting, the room was packed. Barbara stood at the podium in her cashmere sweater, pearls catching the fluorescent light. We all want to help our neighbors, she began, voice warm as fresh bread. Then her eyes landed on me. But we must be responsible stewards. Haven, your request has been reviewed. Unfortunately, the pause was theater. Perfect. Calculated. You don't deserve any help. Haven, the rules are clear. Personal responsibility builds character. The words landed like a slap in a silent room. No one gasped. No one objected. Celeste, sitting front row, didn't even look up from her phone. Just a small smirk. The board nodded like it was scripture. I sat there, hands folded, feeling the familiar stillness settle in my chest. Not anger. Not yet. Just clarity. The same clarity I'd felt years ago when other tables had turned against me. Barbara moved on without missing a beat. On a brighter note, we have exciting news. After careful consideration, we're approving a special allocation of $80,000 from reserves for Celeste's Paris-inspired community enhancement project. It will be a showcase for Willow Creek, elegant lighting, imported stone, the full vision. This is an investment in our future. Applause rippled through the room. Actual applause. For $80,000 funneled straight into the golden child's backyard fantasy, while my roof leaked and my solar find still loomed. I stood up quietly, chairs scraping the floor just enough to make heads turn. "Thank you for your time," I said, voice even. No argument. No tears. Just a small smile. Outside, the rain had started again, steady and cold. I walked to my car without looking back. The folder on my laptop now had a new sub-file, Paris Fund, and beneath it, a single line of code that would change everything. The silence that followed wasn't defeat. It was preparation. I went home, brewed coffee that smelled like burnt determination, and opened the laptop under the yellow desk lamp. HOA Guardian wasn't just an app anymore. It was a weapon wrapped in spreadsheets and timestamps. Every violation, every favoritism, every pearl-clutching speech, logged, cross-referenced. Ready. Barbara and Celeste had no idea the quiet neighbor in the gray house was building something no covenant could touch. The weeks after the meeting blurred into a montage of petty tickets and whispered campaigns. Barbara's golf cart became a regular sight on my street, slowing to a crawl every time she passed. Just checking compliance. "Dear," she'd call out the window, smile wide enough to show the dental work. My grass was measured twice in 1 week. $75 each time. The solar panels got another citation for glare-affecting neighbor enjoyment. Celeste's new stone path, however, gleamed without a single note. Artistic expression, the board called it. My expression was apparently criminal. Neighborhood gossip shifted gears. The community Facebook page, strictly moderated by Barbara, of course, posted passive-aggressive reminders about certain residents who refused to embrace the spirit of Willow Creek. My name never appeared, but the comments did the work. You know who I mean. Some people just don't belong. I read them at night, coffee cooling beside me, and added screenshots to the folder. Black humor kept me sane. I started a private list titled Karen's Greatest Hits, the time she cited a widow for holiday lights that were too festive, the time she personally measured Mr. Reynolds' hedge with a ruler while he stood there in his bathrobe. Rules for thee, darling. I stopped attending meetings. No point performing for an audience that already had its script. Instead, I worked. The app grew legs. I added geofencing so users could snap photos on the spot. Automatic fine calculators based on the actual covenant language, twisted just enough to highlight hypocrisy. Early testers from 3 streets over started feeding data. Anonymous, of course. Mrs. Patel uploaded Barbara's own overflowing trash bins. The single dad sent drone footage of Celeste's party guests parking on lawns. The numbers stacked like dominoes ready to fall. My day job noticed. The logistics firm promoted me after I optimized their entire routing system using the same pattern recognition logic I'd built for violations. Bonuses rolled in. I paid every fine on time, never once disputing in public. Barbara took it as surrender. "See, she's learning." I overheard her tell Celeste at the mailbox one crisp morning. Celeste laughed that tinkling laugh. Took her long enough. I smiled, waved, and kept walking. Inside, the code compiled perfectly. Spring brought the pergola unveiling. The whole block was invited. Champagne, non-alcoholic, per covenants, but somehow spiked for the inner circle. Barbara stood on a makeshift stage, microphone in hand, pearls glowing under fairy lights. This $80,000 investment in our community's beauty will pay dividends for years, she declared, gesturing grandly at the imported stone and climbing roses that somehow didn't violate the no-vine rule. Celeste posed for photos like it was her wedding. Neighbors clapped. I stood at the back again, paper cup in hand, watching the math of it all. My $2,000 roof request still denied. Their $80,000 fantasy fully funded. The contrast was so absurd it almost felt like a comedy sketch. Almost. That night, I added a new feature to HOA Guardian, Public Transparency Dashboard. Not live yet, just a prototype. It would scrape bore minutes, cross-reference spending, flag discrepancies in real time. I tested it with the pergola numbers. Red flags everywhere. Special allocation approved in 6 minutes. My repair request tabled for 3 months. The code didn't lie. People would see it eventually. Summer heat turned the neighborhood into a pressure cooker. Fines skyrocketed for everyone except the chosen few. I got cited for my car being parked 2 inches too far from the curb. $100. Celeste guests left their SUVs blocking driveways for days. No tickets. Barbara's newsletter ran an article celebrating excellence. Celeste's vision bringing Paris to Willow Creek. Below it, a subtle jab. A reminder that compliance is a choice. I printed it, highlighted the hypocrisy, and pinned it above my desk next to the growing stack of receipts. The harassment escalated in small, vicious ways. My mailbox was inspected weekly. Someone anonymous, of course, reported my recycling as unsightly. Barbara showed up personally with her clipboard. We all have to make sacrifices. Haven. It's for the greater good. I offered her coffee. She declined with that same pitying smile. You're still learning our ways. I nodded, closed the door, and logged the conversation time-stamped with audio I'd started recording on my phone. Legal in Washington State. One-party consent. The folder was now a fortress. Word of my app started spreading in quiet DMs. Residents who'd been crushed for years reached out. Can this really help? They asked. I didn't promise miracles. Just data. Patterns. The kind that hold up in court. One couple used early screenshots to fight a $1,200 fence violation and won. The board was furious. Barbara's next newsletter warned against outside agitators. I laughed so hard I spilled coffee on my keyboard. Dark humor at its finest. Watching the dictator panic because the peasants had spreadsheets. Fall arrived with golden leaves and the annual budget review. I didn't attend, but the minutes were public record. Buried on page 7, another $15,000 enhancement to Celeste project. Total now, well over $80,000. My name appeared on page 2 under delinquent compliance. I paid the latest fine before breakfast, then opened the laptop. The app was ready for beta. I named the public version HOA Guardian, free for residents. Premium analytics for lawyers. The first download came that afternoon. Then 10 more. Then 50. The silence I'd wrapped around myself wasn't emptiness anymore. It was armor. Barbara and Celeste could keep their Paris fantasy and their pearl-clutched rules. I was building something that couldn't be fined, couldn't be cited, couldn't be smiled away. The data was growing teeth. And teeth, once they bite, don't let go. Winter brought the real turning point. A massive storm slammed the Pacific Northwest, knocking out power for days. My solar panels kept the lights on while half the neighborhood sat in the dark. Barbara's golf cart still patrolled, somehow, handing out new tickets for failure to clear debris in a timely manner. Mine was the first. $250. I paid it online while the wind howled. Then I submitted another emergency request, $2,000 for storm-damaged siding repair. The board meeting was virtual this time. Barbara's face filled the screen. Pearl still perfect. Voice syrupy. We're all in this together. But we must prioritize those who've shown commitment to our standards. My request was denied in under 2 minutes. You don't deserve any help. Haven, she said again. The exact phrase from months ago. Like a greatest hits replay. Personal responsibility. Remember? The chat exploded with heart emojis from Celeste and her clique. I left the meeting, closed the laptop, and stared at the rain streaking my windows. The same rain that had soaked me years ago in another life. This time the stillness felt different, sharper, colder, ready. I stopped paying attention to the surface noise. The app was live. Downloads hit 200 in the first week. Residents uploaded everything. Barbara's own Christmas lights strung in prohibited colors. Celeste's overflow parties with alcohol in common areas. The board's secret slush fund transfers. I stayed anonymous as the developer. Just a concerned resident. The data painted a picture so clear it could hang in a courtroom. My day job exploded too. The logistics firm spun off my routing algorithm into its own startup. I became CTO overnight. Contracts rolled in. Bonuses that made the HOA fines look like pocket change. I paid every ticket the same day it arrived, never late, never disputed in public. Barbara took it as weakness. She's finally learning, she told the board in leaked minutes I now had access to. Celeste posted on the neighborhood page about graceful compliance. I screenshot it, added it to the file labeled irony, and kept coding. Spring brought the first lawsuit. Not mine, someone else's. Using my app's exported reports. A family 3 blocks over sued the HOA for selective enforcement after their $3,000 fence fine, while Celeste's pergola expansion sailed through. The evidence was ironclad. Timestamps. Photos. Spending discrepancies. The board settled quietly. Barbara's newsletter called it a learning opportunity for all. Translation, we got caught. The neighborhood started shifting. Whispers turned to quiet questions at the mailboxes. Have you seen that app? It's kind of scary how much they've been getting away with. I stayed out of it. Just fix misses. Patel's router when she asked and smiled when Barbara's cart slowed past my house. Inside, the company grew to 2 floors downtown. I upgraded my laptop, kept the old one in a drawer like a relic. The green solar panel permit from my first month, framed now, hung above my desk with a new line written beneath it. Broken rules build better paths. Summer heat brought the next escalation. Barbara announced a community beautification assessment, an extra $500 per household to match Celeste's vision. My email inbox filled with panicked messages from app users. I didn't reply publicly. Instead, I updated Guardian with a new module, assessment calculator that showed exactly where the money was going. 70% traced straight to the Thompson family projects. The dashboard went viral inside the neighborhood. Downloads hit 1,000. Barbara called an emergency meeting. Outside influences are undermining our harmony, she declared. Her eyes scanned the Zoom grid like she could spot me. She couldn't. I bought the house 3 weeks later. The big one on the lakefront, glass walls. Private dock. The kind of property that used to be reserved for visionaries. No HOA approval needed because it was already inside the gates. But the neighbors noticed. Barbara's golf cart appeared at my new gate the day the movers left. Congratulations, she said through the intercom. Smile tight. We'll need to schedule a compliance review. Of course. I buzzed her in, offered iced tea on the new deck overlooking the water. She declined. You've come a long way. Haven. Just remember who helped shape the community you now enjoy. I smiled the small, sharp smile. I remember exactly who shaped it. She left without drinking the tea. That night, I hung the old solar ticket receipt in a new frame next to the permit. Beneath both, they invested in image. I invested in silence. The app now had legal partners. Lawyers used the data in 3 more cases. Settlements rolled in. Barbara's position wobbled. Her newsletter turned defensive. Long paragraphs about unity and gratitude. Celeste started posting less. The golden glow was cracking. I watched it all from my new office with floor-to-ceiling windows. Rain tracing lines down the glass like old friends. The folder was massive now. Ready. Just waiting for the right stage. The annual HOA charity gala arrived in October like a final act. The clubhouse had been transformed. Chandeliers. Champagne towers. Non-alcoholic. Naturally. A string quartet playing soft covers of songs about home. Barbara stood at the entrance in a new power suit. Pearls upgraded. Greeting donors like old royalty. "We're so proud of our community's generosity," she announced to the local paper photographer. Celeste floated beside her in pale blue. Pregnancy just starting to show. Another investment in the future, no doubt. I arrived late. Deliberately. Gray dress. Simple. Hair tied back the same way I'd worn it coding in my old studio. Oliver, my partner who'd never known the ticket-strewn version of me, squeezed my hand. "Ready?" he asked. I nodded. Pathline Guardian Systems was now the gala's platinum sponsor. My company. My name on the program. Barbara's smile faltered when she saw me. "Haven, how lovely to see you supporting us." The room glittered with the same faces that had nodded along to every denial. I waited until the speeches began. Barbara took the stage first. Voice honeyed. "Tonight we celebrate those who give back. Like my daughter Celeste, whose vision continues to inspire us all. And of course, the generous donations that keep Willow Creek shining." Applause. Then the coordinator signaled me. I stepped up, envelope in hand, microphone warm in my palm. "Good evening," I said, voice steady. The room quieted. "On behalf of Guardian Systems, I'd like to make a personal contribution tonight. $80,000 to establish the Homeowner Defense Fund, specifically for residents who've been told they don't deserve help from their own association." The silence was absolute. Then murmurs. Barbara's face went the color of cheap paint cracking. I continued, "Calm as the lake outside. You once called it an investment. Barbara. An image. In vision. In certain daughters. So here's mine. In every neighbor who was fined while others played by different rules. In every family told personal responsibility meant paying while exceptions were written in pearls." I turned to the oversized check being wheeled forward. $80,000. Signed Haven Anderson, founder and CTO. The spotlight hit it. Applause started slow, then built like thunder. Residents who'd suffered stood first. Mrs. Patel, the single dad, even Mr. Reynolds. Barbara clutched the podium, knuckles white. Celeste's smile froze into something brittle. "This isn't," Barbara started, but the microphone cut her off as the coordinator smoothly took control. I handed the mic back and walked off stage past their stunned circle. Oliver met me at the edge. "You okay?" I nodded. Outside, the rain had started again, thin, steady, cleansing. I stood under the awning, letting it mist my face, breathing air that finally tasted like mine. Inside, the gala continued, but the narrative had flipped. Data doesn't lie. And tonight, everyone saw the numbers. The messages started before I even reached my car. Barbara first, polished, desperate. "Haven, darling, we need to talk as a community." Then Celeste. "This is tearing the family apart." Family. The word they only used when the checks stopped flowing their way. I let the phone buzz itself silent. No replies. No drama. Just the quiet I'd earned. The weeks after the gala were a masterclass in poetic justice. Barbara's golf cart disappeared from the streets. The newsletter stopped publishing compliance reminders. Whispers turned to open conversations at the mailboxes, residents comparing notes, laughing about the old days when pearls dictated everything. 3 board members resigned quietly. Celeste's pergola project stalled. The special allocation was suddenly under audit. The $80,000 I donated funded real lawyers for real cases. 2 more settlements dropped in the first month. Barbara's name appeared in none of the victory press releases. I didn't gloat, didn't post screenshots. The app continued running in the background, now with thousands of users across 3 states. Guardian systems expanded to full legal tech. My new house stayed quiet, glass walls framing the lake, rain tracing familiar patterns. The framed solar ticket, an old bus pass relic from my first moving day, hung together now. A quiet reminder, broken roots build better paths. One evening, Barbara showed up at my gate unannounced. No clipboard, no pearls, just a woman who looked smaller under the security lights. "Haven," she said through the intercom, voice stripped of its usual polish. "We're still neighbors. Family, in a way. Celeste's baby is coming. The community needs healing." I buzzed the gate open, but didn't invite her past the driveway. She stood there shifting weight like the rules no longer applied. "You made your choices," I said softly. "I made mine. The fund is there if you ever need it. Same rules for everyone now." She left without another word. The golf cart never returned. Celeste tried once more, voicemail about sisterhood and moving forward. I saved it, time-stamped, added to the archive folder labeled lessons, then deleted the number. The silence that followed wasn't absence. It was peace. Real peace. No more measuring grass. No more pearl-clutched lectures. Just my life, my rules, my lake reflecting stars that didn't need approval. Some nights, I stand by the windows watching the water turn silver. Oliver makes coffee in the kitchen. Normal sounds that once felt impossible. "You look lighter," he says. I smile. Just finished. The app pings occasionally with new users finding their voice. Each notification feels like compound interest on every quiet year I spent documenting instead of begging. Outside, a heron crosses the lake, wings steady, heading exactly where it chooses. I watch it disappear into the fog and close the laptop. The rain no longer sounds like the night I walked out of that first meeting with $2,000 still denied. It sounds like the life I chose instead. The best revenge isn't loud. It's becoming the person they swore would never matter, then proving them wrong with numbers they can't find a way. Thanks for listening. If this HOA Karen story hit home, share it with someone still trapped under ridiculous covenants. Drop a comment below. Have you ever been told you don't deserve help by your own neighborhood? Subscribe for more tales of quiet residents who turn the tables on power-tripping HOAs and Karens. Because sometimes the greatest gift a dictator gives you is the freedom to build something they can never touch.